Alright, so today we're going to talk about the Spectral Blade. Is it good? Look at that. Look at that. Get wrecked. Oh, man, is it good. Oh, this sword is giving the Stabsworth III a run for its money. It's a good thing this sword isn't farmable, because if you could have 5 different versions of this one, I think the Stabsworth would be out of business. Alright, so let's take a look at this crazy sword. This is a sword, medium, uses an above average attack speed to deal high sustained damage with moderate impact. Spectral Slash is the key feature of this weapon. It warps to the targeted enemy, dealing heavy damage, may stagger smaller enemies. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Let me tell you about this blade. This blade is nuts. This blade, when fully upgraded properly, has 0.1 attack speed less than the Stabsworth III. So the Stabsworth III is still the king of attack speed. However, this sword is bonkers. And its claim to fame comes because of 2 things. 1, the blade length. The blade length is phenomenal. This is one of the largest swords in the entire game, which is astounding that this thing has the attack speed that it does. Having the incredible blade range and attack speed built into a single sword allows you to punish enemies so hard without any repercussions. You can hit things without them being able to hit you. One of the key features that is a potential weakness of the Stabsworth III is the incredibly short blade length, putting you in danger every time you go to fight. You have to be really on the ball. This one here, however, has a lot of room for luxury, for error, for safety. You can hit things from a good distance away. You can cleave many enemies with one swing. You are not limited to a single target. This thing is a monster weapon. It is monster. So there's that. But there is an even more just a huge selling point to this weapon, and that is the Spectral Slash. This sword's ability to teleport anytime at all makes this the most mobile, most aggressive sword in the entire game. You can double jump across half the battlefield and then get an even larger gap closer. You can double jump into a Spectral Slash, covering like just an insane amount of distance. Like your ability to fly over the battlefield and choose your fights and choose your targets. You can be flying over the head of an enemy, overshooting, turn mid-air, look straight down, and teleport directly into the back of their head, just annihilating enemies, doing tons of damage, instantly closing that gap, putting you right into the middle of the fight. You are able to choose your battles and just ferociously, aggressively attack. This is the most aggressive, gap-closing, fast-paced fighting style sword in the entire game. That teleportation is just mind-blowing. It is so powerful. It is so aggressive. It is so fast. The fact that you can use it when you're not anchored to the ground, you can use this after you double jump. Oh my goodness. Oh, I abuse this so much. Just so much. It is so fun. It is so satisfying. It is so effective. It is just a nightmare of offensive aggressiveness. And that's what I want in a sword. I want a fast, aggressive sword so that I can take down those targets quick. You can jump over a battlefield and teleport directly onto a blaster, which is your #1 threat, allowing you to wipe those blasters out in the blink of an eye. Oh man. Oh, this sword is nasty. Nasty. So let's talk about its weaknesses. We know why it's strong. Let's talk about why it's weak. So the thing that it has, that the that it lacks in compared to the Stabsworth III, that still makes the Stabsworth III the king of offense, is two things. One, this sword requires 3 attack speed perks just to almost attack as fast as the Stabsworth. So with only 2 attack speed perks, Stabsworth is doing more attack speed than this weapon. That is huge. That means that Stabsworth has 1 free extra perk which you can put into armor, making your ability to soak damage, to resist damage, to take more hits is completely dominant over this sword, making you way harder to kill. Granted, that may be nullified by the fact that this sword is so fast and aggressive that you're not going to get hit as much because you're so fast and you're aggressively pushing so hard that enemies are dying before they get a chance to kill you. But the fact of the matter is, the Stabsworth does have that extra perk. You get that extra armor. You can take those hits harder than you can with this one here. The other thing that Stabsworth has is Affliction. Affliction does damage even after they survive. So if you hit targets as you're running through and you're just like hack, 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 enemies that didn't get completely killed will very often die anyway due to the Affliction effect. That extra damage is not to be underestimated. Affliction is the best perk in the entire game, always has been, probably always will be. Affliction is nuts. This weapon here, instead of Affliction, it has Slowed and Snared, which is significantly worse than Affliction. Slowing down a target by 30% is pretty much worthless, like almost entirely worthless. It can be okay against a mini-boss. You can slow the mini-boss down, slowing his approach to the base. But honestly, makes almost no difference whatsoever. I've used Slowed and Snare for a long time, and I barely ever notice anything. Like, it's, especially on melee, it's only good when an enemy is not looking at you. So it's a fairly irrelevant perk. So again, the Stabsworth has another huge advantage, the Affliction tag. Now, the Affliction tag is also twofold. This weapon has a much higher DPS at face value than the Stabsworth III. However, it's not taking into consideration the massively insane 45% damage bonus of the Stabsworth III, which completely annihilates the DPS of this weapon. Stabsworth is a faster attack weapon that also hits harder. That 45% damage bonus is going to put the damage per second above and beyond, allowing Stabsworth to kill smashers faster than the Spectral Blade can. It's close because the Spectral Blade does horrific amounts of damage. This is a really powerful weapon. The fact that this one actually has 3 attack speed bonuses, plus the 4th bonus is a damage perk on top of that, means this is a 100% perfect perk weapon. Like, this thing is crazy powerful. The only way that this sword could be any more nasty is if it had an Affliction perk on it, and the damage perk was a damage to afflicted targets perk, which would give you an extra 15% extra power, pushing out of that weapon. So, yeah, just amazing power. These are some serious business damaged weapons, whether you're using the Spectral Blade or the Stabsworth III. I would not say that Stabsworth is a better weapon than this. Each one is different. Each one has its advantages. This one can do something that no other sword has ever done before, and it is to give you the most fast-paced, aggressive, lightning reflex butcher blade you've ever seen. You're going to very likely do more damage with this weapon than you will with the Stabsworth III, just because you're always going to be fighting all the time, because that teleportation gives you gap closing powers that the Stabsworth does not have. This sword is going to be attacking and hitting enemies where the Stabsworth would still be running towards the target. So what this sword lacks in one-on-one hitting power that the Stabsworth has, it makes up for in overall DPS because of the aggressiveness of its assault. So I love that this weapon isn't just objectively the best weapon in the game. It's got some tools that no other sword has had before it. It has a gap closing teleportation, which is just one of the most impactful melee tools, or just any tools that the game has ever seen. But at the same time, Stazworth the Third is still the king of one-on-one damage per second. If you stand directly in front of a target and you hold that sword, if you just like go to town, Stazworth will kill faster, and Stazworth will take, you will take more punishment because of the extra armor perk that you have. But in practical use, this sword will probably outdamage the Stazworth III and give you a much more satisfying experience because of the speed and aggressiveness of its attack due to the teleportation that this sword provides. So, this sword, the Spectral Blade, is it good? Oh man, it is godly, pure, insane, unbridled power. When you pick this sword up, you are going to never want to put it down. It has one other advantage that the Stazworth does not have, and that is the sheer unbelievable awesomeness of the aesthetic. The blade is bigger than any other sword in the game. It looks unbelievable. The art design of this sword is just devastatingly gorgeous. This thing is nuts. Just the size, you hold this thing, you're just like, oh my gosh, this sword is so huge. And then you attack, and with the attack speed, the attack speed belies its size. It's unbelievable how fast a blade this big can actually assault. So yeah, Spectral Blade, is it good? Yeah, top tier, tied for first place, just an absolute god blade. Congratulations to all you guys who unlocked this one in the weekly Frost Knight Challenge. You have got one of the most powerful swords in the history of the game. This is going to be a new standard for any melee weapon that ever comes out. It's going to be competing with this freaky monster weapon. Oh yeah, that's right. There's one more thing that I actually covered in the gameplay, but it's worth making note of, is that if you fall off a cliff and you target an enemy with your teleportation, you will completely cancel out any fall damage. You will teleport to that target and take no fall damage whatsoever. You can stop yourself dead. You can jump off a cliff, and as long as there's an enemy at the bottom that you can target with your teleport, you land without a scratch. Pretty cool, man. Pretty cool. Okay, so the best perk build for the Spectral Blade is without a doubt attack speed, attack speed, attack speed. Physical, because you're going to be wanting to kill the blasters. It's your number one threat on the battlefield. Therefore, physical is always the element you want to go with your number one sword. And the last perk is damage. It's delightful that you were able to use damage over armor, over lifesteal, over anything else. Rather than having a utility talent, you actually just got to put more punishment into your offense. So absolutely fantastic perk loadout. It's going to be it's going to be the future of weapons. They're setting a new standard with the perks. Every single weapon that comes out seems to have a better perk loadout than all the weapons before it, which is it's just stepping up. Every single weapon we get is a little better than the one before it. Next, you're going to see a 4 attack speed sword, and our brains are going to explode. Oh my gosh, Megan. Look at the size of this sword. Look at the attack speed. It's 0.1 slower than the Stazworth III. The DPS on this sword is huge. 140,000 damage per second. And even though the DPS says it's a lot lower on Stazworth, the truth is Stazworth is going to be even bigger because of the damage to afflicted targets, which is not calculated at all into the calculation. But one thing that you definitely should take note with this sword is the size of the blade and the distance of the swing. This sword has a huge cleave radius. Oh, wow. You can trigger it mid-air. No, it has a teleport. This sword has a teleport that you can trigger anytime, including if you're mid-air, you can redirect yourself in mid-air and teleport to a target at limited range and just basically one-shot kill the enemy. So like you can jump over a battle and then just like if you're gonna miss a target, you can just hit the teleport and teleport straight down into the enemy and just like bam. Like, oh, it's so good. Oh, wow. Oh man, did you see that? That was legit. So I went and jumped over top of a riot and turned and then teleported down into him with the infinity strike. And like, you know, it teleported into him and one shot killed him from behind. Oh man, guys, this sword is nuts. I'm gonna have to reperk this one just to physical energy. I changed it to energy, but it's gonna have to be physical, I think, because it's gonna be my new blaster killer. This thing is basically as good as Statsworth in terms of DPS. Like this thing shreds. Like it's maybe, you know, what it lacks in DPS it makes up for with that, like the utility of the teleportation. Like it's such an insane gap closer, and the sword has that extra range, right? I feel bad, but I think I have a new favorite sword. I don't want to cheat on the Statsworth, but oh, the teleport is so good. Oh, it's so good. It teleports to a target and just like massive like watch. Just watch. All right, I'm gonna go. We're doing storm chest. Okay, watch. See what I mean? Like it's just crazy. What? Oh, I'm away? Oh, back in. And back in. I don't know about that, but just the mobility. Like the mobility of this sword, the things that you can do, the ability to jump around, to cancel a jump mid-jump and reposition yourself directly on the enemy. It's just crazy. I'm gonna change this to physical just because of blasters, right? Like this sword would be, there's no bad version of this sword, but I know that I'm gonna want to use this to kill blasters primarily. Like this, you can kill everything with this sword, but yeah, it's always against flingers, blasters, you know, things like that. It's like this isn't power 100 enemies, and it honestly doesn't matter at all because what makes this weapon impressive is it's the maneuverability. Like this weapon's ability to bounce around the field of battle is just insane. You can double jump into a teleport. It covers so much ground so fast. This sword is nuts. Look at that. Look at that. Get wrecked. See that taker? Oh man, I like double jumped up and then basically sidestepped and then teleported into him. Took him right out. It's like, what's that? You are all dead. No one escapes? Yeah, that's what I thought. Takers, flying takers, never been easier as a melee class. Oh wow. Gotta be careful what direction I'm aiming when I use that the teleport. It has way more range than I give it credit for. Ooh. You also gotta be careful with propane on the ground. Oh, the power. I am the Lich King. Alright guys, hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, like, subscribe, leave a thumbs up, and leave a comment down below if there's any other reviews you'd like me to cover. Alright guys, I'll catch you guys next time.
So if you like this video, come check us out on Twitch. We Twitch stream 15 to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every single morning starting at 9 a.m. We'd really appreciate the support. We're working really hard to grow the Twitch channel, so come and check us out. Come help us grow and be part of TeamVASH. Thanks, guys.